Well, I got another Nintendo 64 from Goodwill and figured we would see if we could repair this one as well. This one says that it doesn't maintain power consistently and that it's for parts. That's all I know about it. I haven't come across this issue on any of the other 64s that we got. It's also just really dirty and is going to need a proper bath if we're going to be able to say that we restored him. But let's see what we learn. I don't see damage to the shell that should stop us from getting the power seated all the way. That's something I've come across on these before. That sure sounded perfectly normal to me. That's not surprising. So we need a jumper pack. Thankfully I keep them around. All right, and give it some power. Hello? I'm getting nothing on any screen. I do get a red light on the system though. Let's try a different game, just to be sure. I know this one works. Make sure that's fully seated. That's fully seated, that's fully seated. AV cable, yep. Power. Let's take this thing apart and see what we learn. Because obviously it is not in working condition. Interesting, this screw isn't in there all the way. So somebody's tried to fix this guy up. Yeah, whoever opened this last did not know what they were doing. So they cross-threaded one screw and only put it in a couple turns. They over-tightened another and then didn't even tighten the other two down at all. Yeah, we can see that oxidation there from where something did spill in, and quite a bit of liquid around here. Oh yeah, quite a bit of liquid right there. So somebody spilled something on this, which I kind of figured looking at the reset button. And I'm expecting as we get down that switch might not be in great shape. Do me a favor, if you ever find yourself working on a console, just tighten the screws hand tight. You don't gotta prove a point to anybody. I know you're a strong man, I know you're stronger than me, you're bigger than me. I believe you. I've seen you Giga Chads down in the comments. Weird long boy. That's what they called me in high school. Yeah, this stuff's just dirty and gross, dude. Oh, now it's down there. We're getting closer to the good stuff. We can see some of our liquid damage right there. We can also see the dust buildup around that switch. Just looking kind of sus. And you can see some soda or whatever. Yeah, soda on that. Does it want to come up? Or does it want me to do some weird stuff? Okay. It was a little stubborn just because of the gunk on him. Yeah, he's just kind of dusty there on the side. And then obviously he has the liquid damage. I think that liquid damage will clean up off the shield just fine. Did it do anything to the pins inside this cartridge reader? It might have done. No bugs, guys. No bugs. Huge victory. This board is really messy. How do I want to tackle this? First of all, somebody really wanted me to remove this cartridge on the last one and clean it. Just like boil it. Problem is this not soldered in place? So, when I worked on the last one, you guys told me a few things. Number one, you told me that I need to properly clean the cartridge reader and that the deoxit that I used probably wasn't enough. You really wanted me to actually remove the dang thing and go boil it or whatever to clean it. I'm thinking, you know, I've got an ultrasonic cleaner. I'm thinking I'm going to do that. The next thing, apparently some of these capacitors fail and you really wanted me to replace the capacitors. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't have a lot of capacitors on hand at any time. Anyways, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't see a need to do it on all of these. So our thermal pads look fine enough to me. Maybe they're a little hard. Importantly though, just the area around this is just so dirty. I'm really tempted to chuck this in the ultrasonic cleaner, but I'm also just tempted to see how clean we can get it without that. Gosh, it's dirty. Let me bring you guys in though. No sense in me talking about it without you. No, we can come closer. Come closer. Check out this switch. Do you see how gross that thing is? The chip next to it's fine, thankfully. Or at least it looks like it's fine. Where these chips are just around them. I never do a good job at showing you guys how dirty these consoles are when I start working on them. But this thing is just gross. Is that a bridged pin? No. No, it's not. Okay. The reason I'm debating Ultrasonic Cleaner on this one is just the crevices where things can get. Since there's so much dust buildup around these chips, there's probably going to be some underneath the chips, and I just don't want it there. The cartridge reader has had this liquid damage right there, and we can see how oxidized and corroded it is across the top. Yeah, there's corrosion in there. I don't love it, to be honest with you. I mean, from what I can see on the pins, I don't think they're bent. How would I remove you? First I'll show you, this is the board underneath where it was. That is so gross. Nice. Here's the bottom of the cartridge reader itself. And what I want to point out is just all that corrosion right there. Or rust, I guess, I don't know. Just the liquid damage. These pins are definitely not the cleanest. And getting inside of this is going to be pretty dang difficult. Can you use cleaning vinegar on this? Can I just soak it for a while? Yeah, now that I can see the pins better. I don't see any bent or damaged pins. I believe that this is supposed to be unpopulated. Yeah, I'm thinking this needs to go in the ultrasonic cleaner. I think it's just easiest to do that. I bought it for a reason, you know. The question is, should I clean the board and the debris first? I think so. I don't think I want all this gunk floating around in the ultrasonic cleaner if I can avoid it. I just want it to really get in the areas where I can't. The name of the game is just to get the debris out. Realizing now for the first time this entire recording session that I just looked at my camera to see if I'm even filming. This has been 30 minutes. Would have been 30 minutes of footage. I want to see if I can get this off. This is entirely cosmetic. This doesn't impact functionality at all over here. I can't tell if it's oxidation or corrosion or what it is, and I don't really want it on here if I can avoid it. Yeah, this isn't doing anything. Yeah, I could stay here all day. It's not going to do anything. Will it just scrape off a little bit, or should I leave that be? I mean, that feels like nothing happened, but let's see. Nope, nothing happened. Okay. I decided to try something a little bit different, and I use this handheld vacuum that I have to get most of the debris off before actually brushing it, just to try to reduce the mess on my bench for once. And it did okay. It didn't quite have the suction needed to get like all the hair and everything, but you probably wouldn't want it to have that kind of suction anyways, because then you'd probably rip stuff off the board. Maybe you wouldn't, but I probably would. And you guys wouldn't like that. There'd be a lot of comments telling me that I'm too rough, and you know what? I'm done vacuuming. I got quite a bit of it off. Now I'm just gonna hit this with the toothbrush, get the rest of the debris off. We will worry about cleaning that a little bit more thoroughly in a bit. I haven't decided if I'm gonna put this in the ultrasonic cleaner or just the cartridge reader. I kind of like to isolate variables a bit. So if it doesn't work, you know, and I put both of these in the ultrasonic cleaner, it'd be hard for me to say that the ultrasonic cleaner damaged the pins on the cartridge reader or if it damaged something on the board. I'm just kind of generally scared of putting stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner still. I can't have anybody knowing if I swap the board out later, so we'll just wipe that away. I think the board's okay. I don't see any damage there. I was worried that maybe a via would have got corroded or something, but no, these all look fine. I don't mean to sound disappointed. I'm just getting more and more worried that I am going to finish working on that cartridge reader and not know what to do next. Okay, let's make sure that this guy gets some love. I want to like kind of drip some alcohol in there. If it still doesn't work later, I've got some contact cleaner we can spray in it, and then finally I can move on to pulling one off a donor board if I need to. That would suck though, I'd rather not do that. I don't see any glaring mechanical failures. I think we're good to move on to ultrasonic cleaning. So for the ultrasonic cleaner, I just used some Liquinox critical cleaning liquid detergent that was very diluted in some distilled water. I kept the water at about 120 Fahrenheit, which comes out to around about 49 degrees Celsius or 322 Kelvin if you use that. For the board, I would just run it for about 2 minutes on each side. I rotated it so that each edge was at the bottom at least once. At some point, some debris came out that I don't see, and maybe that's relevant later, maybe it's not. Who's to say? I do find it really interesting the way that the bubbles kind of like collect in one central area. So the way that they like build up on the main chips on the board is kind of interesting. I mean, it went fine. I didn't notice anything break. So once I was done with the board, decided it was time to move on to the cartridge reader. For the cartridge reader, I did it a little bit different. I only ran it 2 times for 2 minutes each. And I did try the gentle setting instead, but it didn't really seem to do anything. So I ended up switching back to the normal setting just to see if that would kind of free up the rest of it. Once I was done with the cartridge reader, the last thing that I wanted to put in the ultrasonic cleaner was this shield that had a little bit of rust on it. And I just wanted to see how it would do if it could actually remove it, or if the best course of action to remove this rust was just elbow grease. It did fine. I got more of it off later, and elbow grease was definitely the better route here. You can actually see here how it came out. Like I said, it did all right. It could have been better. Once all this stuff was finished being cleaned, it was actually time to get any of the residue from the actual cleaner washed off. To do that, I just used distilled water and ran it over each component. And then after that, took my time drying it, which took absolute ages. I'm saying forever. So it was pretty clear that this was going to need to sit overnight just to ensure that there was nothing left in the board. I think it's time to go ahead and clean the shell, since this stuff is going to need to sit overnight anyways. So I'm going to do that. Now to actually clean the console, I just used some hot water from my tap, so not like, boiled or anything. And then just normal dish soap. I let the shell soak for quite a while to try to get some of the sticky residue off. Everything else, I just kind of washed it one at a time, so I didn't accidentally throw away any pieces of the shell. Not that I've done that before, but I know a guy who's been accused of throwing out the LED diffuser on a PS1. And we're just not trying to be anything like that guy. Anyways, if you're enjoying the content, maybe you should consider subscribing. Analytics show that only like 5% of you that watched the last video are subscribed. So maybe you could do that, or like the video, or comment why you don't want to subscribe, like what you really hated about it. That's fine too. You're free to do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. Anyways, we're done scrubbing it. Look at how clean it is. Wow. Everything's dry, so we're good to go ahead and reassemble enough to test it again. Just gonna give everything a quick glance now that it's cleaner. See if I can identify any physical damage on the board or cold solder joints that might have caused issues here. Let's see, so it did power on, so I probably don't need to spend too much time investigating around the power. It either wasn't reading a game or we have issues with video out. So let's see how these solder joints look. Yeah, that should be fine. Solder joints over here look fine as well. Although I really don't think we're having a power issue. I think we're either having a video issue or I think we're having an issue reading a game. I've got Deoxit, and we can just use Deoxit to clean the cartridge reader. That's what I did when we repaired the previous one. But a big part of this channel is I like to learn new things. So I kind of want to try different ways to repair it. So if the ultrasonic cleaning didn't do the trick, then we're going to try... For some reason, I didn't finish my thought. We'll try vinegar. Vinegar is what we're going to try. I'm still getting no signal. Yeah, we're still getting no signal. Let's test a different game. The good news is we're getting the exact same functionality as we were before the ultrasonic cleaning, so I didn't make it worse, at least. My concern was the ultrasonic cleaning would maybe destroy one of these crystals or something. Let's make sure that this is fully seated. It is. The arrows are lined up. It is definitely facing the right direction. That is fully seated. That is powered on. This is fully seated. I'm not saying I'm an idiot, but I'm not saying it. Just double checking. We're definitely on the right thing. So it's still faulty. It has nothing to do with the lack of the jumper pack when I tested it the first time. Didn't like the way that felt.
How strange.
We're gonna try a little bit of vinegar. I'm just gonna use basic household distilled white vinegar. I've got stronger stuff, but for something this small, I just don't think we need it. All right, I'm gonna give that like 15, 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. Visually, things look the same to me. Before I switch over to the isopropyl alcohol, I'm just take a toothbrush and see if anything just wants to rub off now. Yeah, I gotta be honest, it looks about the same. I mean, let's just get after it with the alcohol then. Shouldn't need that anymore. So the alcohol does a few things.
Number one, the alcohol displaces the vinegar. Alcohol dries a whole lot quicker than vinegar does, so we remove the risk of flash rust and can get back to work sooner as well. Number two, the IPA will remove the residue that vinegar likes to leave behind, as well as remove any debris that was loosened by the vinegar. Just make sure if you do this that you don't let the vinegar dry on anything you're working on. That's going to almost certainly cause more rust or corrosion if you don't neutralize or displace it.
I did this before, the Q-tips were coming up just a little gray. Now they're coming up with nothing, so I just don't know that anything's really changing here. Yeah, I mean the fact that I'm not getting any significant coloration change on this, the only bit that I got was right there from that rust, tells me that this really isn't removing any more corrosion. I don't know that that really did anything. I mean, it looks pretty much the same to me. I don't know, I'll show you guys. No, these are features of the metal. I mean, what matters is the inside, it's the pins. They appear the same as they've appeared to me this entire time. Let's see what happens. I mean, I'm not expecting a different outcome. All right, no signal, and then still no signal. No difference there, okay. Now we just wiggle this up like a millimeter. Try again, no difference. Like another millimeter. I think if the wiggle method was gonna work, it would have worked by now. Now what we do is probably deoxit, man. And then if it doesn't power on after the deoxit, I can definitely say that that cartridge reader is not my fault. I mean, I have other contact cleaner that I can spray in there just to make sure that we really get it. Is that what I want to do? Maybe. So let's remove it from the board. That is all I'm going to do on this cartridge reader. If that very long bit of cleaning did nothing, then either this thing is so far gone and remarkably well hidden in that fact that it's never going to work, or it's not my fault. And there's something else that's my fault on the board. Do I want to deoxit everything else too? I think I do. I think I want to take it one step at a time. We want to know exactly what our fault was. So I'll probably apply deoxit here and here and even here. I can't imagine that's my issue. But we want to take it one step at a time and see what suddenly fixes it. Womp womp. All right. So my cartridge reader is not our fault. Suspect might be my problem next. God, aftermarket power supplies are not fun. So the next thing that I suspect might be my problem is the jumper pack reader. Now, the pins look, for the most part, beautiful. But if I can get you guys a good angle, we can see that those two middle pins are just a bit darker. And that could be an issue. When I got this thing, it didn't actually have the jumper pack cover. Like, there's reason to believe that there might be some gunk in here. Just drip some deoxit right across these pins. And work this jumper pack up and down. Really make sure that we're good to go. And we have the same outcome. I don't see any difference at all. Now our cartridge reader doesn't appear to be our jumper pack connection. I'd be shocked and appalled if it's the power supply pins, because I've been getting this LED to power on the entire time. So that just doesn't seem right. Power them up. No difference. Still says no signal on the screen. I gotta be thinking about capacitors, and I gotta be thinking about whatever chip handles signal output, maybe whatever chip handles reading the game, and maybe whatever chip handles reading the jumper pack. I do just want to double check. I mean, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. It's just so common that these solder joints over here get cold or are cold, but it doesn't seem to be the case today. Like I'm looking over here, U13, like those solder joints just look a little cold. And this is a 30-year-old console, so this should be leaded solder. Let me just see if these legs move at all. No, that's fine. Would this switch not functioning cause issues? Let me see if that switch is faulty. I should find no continuity anywhere right now, I think. Nothing. Cool. That's what we expect. And you figure out how to do this one-handed in frame where you guys can see. So I want to test this dude and... Okay. All right, so our switch is functioning. All right, I'm gonna do some more research. After talking to my neighbor's gardener, I think I have a pretty good sense of where I want to start. I think I understand what I need to do. So I need to deliver power, and then with my multimeter set to DC voltage, I need to check specifically this 5-volt line right here. That chip that I was saying has the cold solder joints that I find questionable. Apparently the 5-volt line runs straight from there. In theory, that could be an issue. Let's see what happens. Let's do power. The reason this is what we need to test is apparently for the LED to kick on, all it needs is the 3-volt line to be good. I think this goes here and this goes here. And we're getting 5 volts. Okay. And then are any of these hot? No, none of these are hot. Now we're gonna turn this upside down because what I want to check is the 12-volt line. We need to go from here to what, here? I should get 12 volts. I get 13. 12 volts there. Okay, so what? I don't understand. Well, it seems that I'm getting power everywhere I'm supposed to. So if my 5-volt line is good, is there another spot I should check? You know, like maybe, because we ran from here to here. I'm getting nothing. Stay on volts. Am I wrong? Am I misunderstanding something? Should I just reflow this chip? I mean, I'm kind of thinking that might be the case. Absolutely dead? That doesn't seem right at all. So there should be 5 volts coming out of this, right? Am I understanding this correctly? We've got a good sense of something is going wrong. This isn't even getting 12 volts delivered in. We're getting 3.3 volts just fine right there. This is really strange, guys. I don't understand. So I'm not getting my 5-volt anywhere. I just can't get it. Oh, am I understanding this correctly? Am I understanding correctly that I'm not receiving 12-volt at all? So the reason that I have 3.3 volts is because I am getting, okay, I think I get it. Pin 1 is open. Pin 2 is 3.3. Pin 3 is 3.3. Pin 4 is open. Pin 5 is open. Pin 6 is open. And I'm now realizing this solder right here looks a little weird. Not that I think that has anything to do with it. The solder on the legs themselves looks fine. Let's go about cleaning this then. Of course, it's the only thing we didn't clean with contact cleaner. Makes sense. Yep, that's all over my desk. Very nice. Cool. I feel like I got the 12 volt at one point, but then I wasn't getting it later. 1, 4, and 5 should be open, with only pin 6 giving us our 12 volt, and pins 2 and 3 giving us our 3.3. That 12 volt then gets converted by this chip right here, by this chip right here, U13. It gets converted from 12 volt down to 5 volt. I think that's like a step down regulator. If this doesn't work, I'll double check my power supply. I've used this power supply on other Nintendo 64s before, and I know it to work. Positive probe goes to 6, I get nothing. Now we're gonna test the actual power supply itself. 12 volt line is good on the power supply. So why is it not doing what I need it to do once inserted? What should I test next? Continuity on that pin maybe? See what the resistance is? It should measure open, and if it doesn't, then I just know it's that dirty. Let's test continuity. Am I the only one tremendously confused? Or are you guys confused too? So the next thing that we can do is we can reflow this joint. If that doesn't work, then we drop it out, let it soak in some vinegar for a while probably. Yeah? I'm not real sure what else to say about it. This is an unusual problem. Yeah, I'll go ahead and reflow this. See if that does it. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up while the board is still nice and hot. Yeah, I really don't like the way that the top of that came out. You guys in the comments can tell me what I'm doing wrong that happens to me. But it's definitely not a cold joint or anything like that. So let's see if that changed anything for us. Let's see where we're at now. Nothing. This is the weirdest thing. You would think the contact cleaner would be enough. Might have used a tip that's too large.
Since the solder came up on that second pin, I thought I would get lucky and this tip was going to work fine for the remaining pins. It didn't. It didn't do a very good job at all. So I went ahead and I switched to the wick and just kind of made a mess of the board. And then I thought I would try one of these cheap solder suckers. That's not electric, but I just got like a bunch of them included for free in a package from Amazon one time. Decided to try those. That was a terrible decision. Regret that immensely. So I finally switched over to a smaller tip. By the time I'd done that, I'd already made a pretty significant mess of the board. And I mean, it got the job done, but I, for some reason, just made this way too difficult.
Managed to not destroy the port. Man, this thing looks fine. I don't understand. So now I'm torn. I gotta go help a buddy install some ceiling fans. And he lives a good 45 minutes away. So at the very least, you know, that's an hour and a half of my time, just in drive time. Plus, installing 2 ceiling fans with him, that's gonna make it take even longer. Do I want to put this in vinegar knowing that it probably sits for several hours? I'll plop it in vinegar and I'll see you guys when I'm done with that.
So long story short, it sat in vinegar for 8 hours total. I then went ahead and gave it an isopropyl alcohol bath and made sure that I just got really deep in the crevices. I didn't feel like filming all of that because it was like 10 o'clock at night for me. But once that was done, we let it sit overnight and now we're ready to solder it. So first I tacked it into place and then soldered each leg. I did realize at this point that some of the actual solder mask got damaged because of the metal tip on my electric solder sucker. So I obviously need to be more careful with that. Otherwise I'm gonna continue to cause damage to boards, which isn't very cash money of me. But the pins that are bridged don't matter. They go to the same plane anyways, so it's totally fine. And the solder came out fine enough.
Let's go ahead and see what that did. So I still get a red light. Do I get a 12 volt line? One contact on ground. and one right here, and I do not get a 12 volt line. Maybe I'm just getting bad contact there because of the flux, so let me come down the line to this spot right here. Nothing. I am completely at a loss here. I mean, that pen is as clean as it could possibly be. Why is it not trying? I am so confused. I know this power supply works. I am gonna do some more research. It doesn't make any sense to me because I tested the power supply and I can confirm that it is outputting 12 volts. I've used this power supply on another Nintendo 64. I know for a fact it works. I bought it brand new. I haven't done anything to it aside from use it. I've confirmed there's continuity from one end of this, from these pins to the other. So why would I'm just so confused because I don't think the board controls whether or not 12 volts comes in. I think the power supply has sole control over that. After talking to my dentist for a bit, we have a pretty good sense of what we should check next. This chip right here, or something around it, is shorted. The hypothesis right now is that the system isn't trying to pull 12 volt current because there's a short on the 12 volt line. So if I go to continuity, if we touch something that's connected, it'll give us a beep. So right there, that's supposed to happen. This is ground, and this is ground. So we should get a beep, but we shouldn't get one right here. We don't. We don't. We don't. Okay, good. So that means that one of our caps might be shorted.
I just want you to know that I have like 45 minutes of footage of me doing this, and it was a waste of time. I'm going to cut it for you guys so that you don't have to experience it.
You see, I'm trying to see if there's any way, I mean, you guys aren't really going to be able to tell, but maybe there's like a mechanical failure in my power input. I don't understand why I'm not getting 12 volts at all. And I've tested continuity. I have continuity from here all the way to U13, which is just on the other side of these vias. My 12 volt line is fine. I have continuity. So here's what I don't know, and somebody smarter than me can hopefully help. Does this force 12 volts in, or does it need to be requested by the system? If it needs to be requested by the system, then my power jack's fine. If the 12 volt rail feeds into here, that might be a thing. I don't see any vias though. All of my vias are underneath. Some of the legs do look like they're drawing from underneath, so there is a chance that this 12 volt line does run into this chip. Okay, so should I be checking if all my legs are soldered then? Let's do that.
I now went on to check every single contact on the board for every chip, every capacitor, every resistor, everything I could find, just to make sure that everything was soldered into place. This took forever, and you guys don't have to watch it.
I think what I'm gonna do next is order some caps. Maybe we order this bit and then a replacement power jack input as well. Order some new switches too. We're gonna have the Nintendo 64 Theseus by the time we're done. Okay, so I decided that I was gonna go ahead and play on my working Nintendo 64 and just kind of vibe and have a good time. You know, I've been working hard. Why shouldn't I get to play some Command and Conquer? And I get them all hooked up, and all of a sudden, the weirdest thing happens on my known working device. I get a red light, but I get no signal. No way. So, that other power supply is actually damaged. I don't know how, when, what I did. If I can even show you guys on camera, I'll try.
So here's a picture I took later of the port. TLDR, something was inside the power jack on this system when I got it. And when I inserted the power supply for the first time, that nice crunch that we get, it did something to the power supply jack itself. So I was able to get that 12 volt line early on because there's still connections in there, and I must have just sat against it just right. But depending on the angle, I wasn't able to get any signal at all. And the 12 volt line is just required if you want to run the system. The 3.3 volt line is all you need for the light. So if you're just trying to like set some vibes, that's all you need. And that's how we get this really weird thing that we had going on here. I never got 12 volt on this system because the power jack broke my power supply.
If we switch back to the console that we've been working on, which I reassembled it because I thought I was just done, so I did all this off camera. I haven't tested this yet. So it might still be a failure. That's on the ground. Very nice. I was hoping it would end up down there. Let's see. 3, 2, red light. Yes! Dude, let's go. Okay. Dude, I'm so excited for this. I've never played Command & Conquer on the Nintendo 64. I played it on Xbox, like religiously. I had so much fun on my 360 playing Command & Conquer with my friend.
Nostalgic ramblings aside, that is going to do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what other consoles you'd want to see me work on. As long as it's not like something insanely expensive, like a Nintendo 64 DD. Keep in mind, I have a mortgage and a wife that I already disappoint a lot. We don't need to make things worse. Right, well, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more just like it, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video.